Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. And boy, we have a loaded show. So, first of all, let everybody know who the crew is. We have to my right, Jeremy Ballrick. Welcome back, Jeremy.
Glad to be here. Let's talk some football.
And we have a couple of coaches. We'll start off with KR Lombardia.
How you doing, guys?
And Bo Crouch knows how to cover my butt when I get into trouble. Mr. Technology, this guy is the BEST. Good stuff, Bo.
Always happy to help. Good to see everybody.
You do real well. All right. The other coach is Coach John Bonamago.
How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Glad to have you. All right. We have Travis Sherlock Holmes. You can't get away from Sherlock because the most popular homes on the planet outside of you.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. And finally, Mel Farr Jr.
Hey, guys. How's everybody doing tonight?
All right. We got a really loaded show, but before I go into the show details, just want everybody to know that Inside the Pigskin is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Inside the Pigskin can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for more subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Just participate in the chat room. That's one way to do it. Or send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com, Twitter/X @TribuneSouth. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes. And, of course, my book I just released, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders, is out on Kindle and Amazon. With that said, as I said, we have a loaded show. We're going to definitely be going into the chat room. Hello to Ken Ballrick and Ralph Williams. Thank you very much. Well, obviously, we have no choice now to talk about Bill Belichick because his days are numbered after the NFL season. Jeremy, I'm going to have you go into more details, and then we're going to go around the horn. Okay? Go ahead.
Rumor has Kraft decided after the Colts game there in Germany that he was going to do away with Bill Belichick at the end of the season. The fact this got leaked out is a little bit of a slap in the face to Bill because I don't think it should have been leaked out. I think it should have been done quietly and at the end of the season. But at the same time, with the way the team has performed, we can honestly say it was Tom and Bill together that made the Patriots so great because ever since Tom's left, I mean, he's only made the playoffs one time and so far been under 500 ever since.
Okay. Well, all right. There you go. So what are your thoughts, Jeremy, about the pending departure of Bill Belichick?
I think the writing was on the wall. I mean, when they've won 2 and whatever, I mean, it's a pretty abysmal season. Right now, they're sitting with the number 2 pick overall.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to it?
Nah, that's pretty much it.
All right, Carolyn. All right,
Well,
Carolyn Bardia. Go ahead.
You know, you got one of the greatest coaches in the history of pro football, and you let him go. I mean, I guess everybody has an expiration date, but who the hell's Kraft going to hire that's better than Belichick? That's my feeling.
Okay. Off the bow.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a shock. Like you saw the writing on the wall for this to come. It's unfortunate that it got leaked, right? Just because of the storied career that he had there. It seemed like he would be gone at the end of the season, but they'd keep it under wraps. But, you know, at some point, you got to rip the Band-Aid off. You're making a coaching change at some point. It might as well be now. Coach.
And by the way, I got to mention something about Coach here. I guess he doesn't think my penmanship is very good, but you know what, Coach? This isn't the first time that I've ever heard it, and certainly won't be the last time. Before I go ahead, I don't know if I really type these things too very good, but we'll see what I can do on these word docs. But, you know, I don't have a problem going out there and enjoying a lot of these candid comments about my penmanship because I've heard it plenty of times. You know what? Since we're on the New England theme, okay, Coach, I had a woman named C.J. Boston at the University of South Florida, and since we're talking about a Boston-related topic, told me, okay, your penmanship isn't very good. He said, well, you know what, C.J., I don't really care. It is what it is. Just deal with it. But you, I guess I'll have to figure out a way to write a little bit cleaner. And for all you guys out there that think my penmanship is good, well, try my 4-minute grilled cheese sandwich out of a microphone. You'll think my penmanship was much better than that. And if you ever try a 4-minute microwave grilled cheese, I guarantee nobody's going to have any teeth, and you can break a triple lane window with that sandwich. All right. So with that said, Coach, it's hard to coach me on bad penmanship because I'm probably as good as all the doctors that sign prescriptions, and we'll see if there's any out there. All right,
Well,
I have no problem accepting
well,
it.
it could be strategic. You know, I mean, it gets leaked, and now, you know, if there's truth to it, you know, that maybe entices some people to call, maybe, because I think, you know, obviously, you know, Bill's going to have a lot of say in it, but I don't think he's going to necessarily, he won't be necessarily a free agent unless they just flat out cut him loose. But if they can get some trade equity for him, I mean, I would think they will definitely try to do that, you know, make sure that maybe he ends up in the NFC rather than the AFC. So there it could be something strategic. I mean, obviously the writing's been on the wall. People have been talking about it all season. Again, it's all still speculative in this league. You never ever know what is going to happen until it actually happens.
Travis.
Yep. To Coach's point, that's exactly my point that I was about to say. Is no, I mean they obviously wanted this information out there because let's keep it 100. Like, there's a lot of NFL insiders, and generally they have their sources and they know things months, you know, weeks, months before anyone else does, and they know what's on the record, what's off the record, and what they can say, what they're not authorized to say. Otherwise, they lose their sources. If this is being public, it's not random. You know, this is when we're getting to the trade deadline, and all of a sudden it gets leaked, you know, 6 hours, 8 hours before the trade deadline actually ends, and that someone's going to be released. Or I'm sorry, I say the trade deadline, and I meant like the end of training camp, etc. And then all of a sudden they trade him right before the end of the cut day, and I'm just like, all right, cool. So this is not new in that way. We kind of, to Bo's point, we've seen this writing on the wall with the Patriots. Bill Belichick, the GM, has sort of gotten in the way of Bill Belichick, the coach, and that's been just an ongoing issue that more likely than not he was not going to be willing to give up the GM role. I mean, he's done it for over 20 years now in New England, because that probably would have saved his job just because he's that freaking good of a coach. And then there's the other conversation of, is he going to be willing to play for another team if they do find a trade candidate? Perhaps that makes this crazy, because he's such a good coach and he's been around the league so long. He's like almost to the level of maybe John Madden. Like, I don't know who else has been around the league just this long at this high of a level.
Okay, all right, turn over to Mel.
All good things must come to an end. I think I heard a coach say, you get hired to get fired. You know, you're going to get fired one day. One day, this is going to come to an end. I think Bill kind of rushed his a little bit, with some of the decisions he made the last few years after Tom Brady left and after Josh McDaniels left, by the coordinator situation that he had a couple of years ago, and that really hurt the development of their quarterback. And
right
now you see them playing another quarterback, and they bench this guy. His confidence is shot. And I think sometimes players need a different voice. Sometimes marriages grow stale. Sometimes people outgrow one another, or they grow in different directions. And I think that Mr. Kraft and Mr. Brady, I think that the relationship has run its course, and both of them need a fresh start, need to try something different. So it'll probably be both. It'll probably be good for both of them. It makes a lot of sense what Coach Bono said as far as, not wanting to just go ahead and outright dismiss him right now, because he does have another year left in his contract, and maybe they are able to leverage that into some sort of draft pick or something if he decides there's a job out there that he wants to pursue, or somebody decides that they want to pursue him. So just have to wait and see how that plays out. But I think it's very clear that he was a better coach with Tom Brady there than he is without having Tom Brady. And I'm talking about, Cleveland included. Tom Brady wasn't in Cleveland. He got fired. He didn't do very well there. He was on his way out in New England. And Drew Bledsoe gets hurt. Tom Brady comes in, and the rest is history. So, you have to give Tom Brady a lot of credit there. He has to give Tom Brady a lot of credit for his career. I mean, both of them. It was mutually beneficial to both of them.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to stick the GMTA tag on you, Mel. Great minds think alike, because Tom Brady is what got Bill Belichick cooked. Once, obviously, the quarterback play regressed, which it did. Mac Jones got wrecked. He was on the right track with Josh McDaniels, but when you put in Matt, as Jeremy would say, Patricia, along with Joe, I'm not the judge. See, I'm starting to sound like Chris Berman a little bit here with all these nicknames, okay? Then that was Mac Jones. They wrecked him. I think Mac Jones will be somewhere else anyways. But once Tom Brady was gone, and here's the thing: Robert Kraft loves Tom Brady like his own kid. So, he saw that too. So he was cooked. And in the eyes of our old friend Ernie Harwell, my old friend, Bill Belichick is going to be long gone. Oh, there you go. I had to get my Ernie Harwell.
Hey, Scott, can I make one more comment, please?
Absolutely.
I think the interesting thing will be in New England is to see where they go. Are they going to keep it in the family? Are they going to make a run at maybe Vrabel's been mentioned? Maybe Bill O'Brien. I mean, are they going to, try to keep coaches, or are they just going to blow the whole thing up and start from scratch? That's kind of what I'm interested to see and what happens.
Well, Coach,
it seems like Josh McDaniels is kind of like a head coach in waiting, and then goes out to the Raiders and he doesn't do that well. So you think they would risk?
I wouldn't even. You know what? I don't think.
I mean, not because he didn't win, but more because why he was fired. I mean, it was more or less he's had two jobs, and it's been the players have basically revolted. And I mean, look, you have to hold people to task. You have to keep them accountable, but there's you can't be abusive at the same time. Once you lose the locker room that way, your days are numbered.
Yeah, it'll be Frank Reich. We'll see if we can get fired 3 years in a row.
Yeah, wait now. Frank Reich, that was a bad situation in Carolina. He has a puncher's chance in New England. I said a puncher's chance. Okay,
it was a bad situation in Carolina, but he was also a bad coach in a bad situation.
What are you talking about? Now I think, and I don't remember the guy's name. Maybe any of y'all can come up with it. But doesn't New England have a young coach that they were looking to possibly elevate? Assistant coach, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank with the name, but
you're talking about the defensive guy,
Jared Mayo.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not even the defensive coordinator. I mean, there's a shot, but I mean,
you don't have to be a coordinator necessarily.
He's going to get interviews. I can tell you right now. So I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I have no idea where this search is going to go. So
Jeff Saturday got a shot.
What's that, Bo?
I said Jeff Saturday got a shot. Anybody can throw their hat in the ring.
There you go. There you go, Bo.
I thought it would be hilarious if they hired Stephen Belichick, but whatever. What do I know?
Obviously, you knew enough to mention it. So Jared Mayo's a guy that I know they've talked about, but then again, we'll see where they could go. We'll devote an entire topic on the potential people about Belichick and who his replacement is. So we won't leave it alone there. But, I don't know, Bo. I don't know why when you mentioned Frank Reich, but you struck a chord that I felt bad for this guy. I mean, let's talk about the difference between David Tepper and Robert Kraft would be the difference between salt and pepper, if that's a decent analogy. They're just a different type of seasoning, but I don't know, we'll leave it out there anyways. Frank Reich, David Tepper, we'll go from there. All right, well, I have a little other interesting news today that developed in my neck of the woods. Tylervandyke is transferring to the University of Wisconsin. I think Tylervandyke will do well with Wisconsin. Lukefickell, to me, is a passing guy anyways. I don't think that Tylervandyke was a fit for mariocristobal. So, I do believe in my mind that, that could be a good fit. Before we do anything further, I do want to mention a couple of things here. We have a good turnout. So I'm going to go to the chat room real quick. Jeremy, read them. Okay.
My dad, smoking dad there, Ken Ballrick says, nobody's penmanship is worse than mine. It's a close second, Dad. I can verify this.
Thanks a lot, Jeremy. All right, I'm just kidding. All right, just teasing you, Jeremy. You know that.
Belichick GM has to go.
All right, yeah, I think Robertkraft agrees with you there. Patty Grimes. Okay, let's go.
Carolina owner is too meddling. David Tepper. Well, I said he's like pepper spray to Panthers fans.
All right, here, and I've got an announcement to make in a moment. Okay.
Frankreich literally means French Empire in German. That didn't last too long either.
Well, hey, James. Hey, James, thanks for the German lesson. I never got past a day of Spanish when I was in high school and wound up back in wood shop. All right, now here's the best one of them all. I am going to make a little bit of
Jennifer
announcement.
Lee Cobb says, hello, fellas, and missing you all.
Well, you know what? Missing y'all. Guess what, guys? Okay, you may have a new voice on this show here sometime next month, and Jennifer and I are talking about bringing her on sometime in January. You know, Jen, what can I say? She, to me, is, you know, I think the world of her, not only what she's doing for Parkinson's disease, but what she's also doing, you know, being a former St. Louis Rams cheerleader that won a championship. Now I want to bring her in here and have you guys have a chance to interact with her. So, Jen, you know how I feel about you, and glad you're going to be more active after the first of the year. So with that said, okay, and she loves this show anyways. Come on, she's a cheerleader who plays football. She's going to get to talk about it. So, folks, 2024, Jennifer Cobb, you know, we're working on bringing her on here as well, and she'll continue to do her work with me through No Limits and talking about getting this thing cured with Parkinson's disease. All right. Now, I'm back to tylervandyke. Anybody have any quick comments on it? Again, I don't think it worked for mariocristobal, but lukefickell is a passing type of coach. And obviously, I know Wisconsin's known for being a running, but that'll be a much different animal. Jeremy, I know you're probably going to address this Thursday night, but give me a brief thought on it.
Which one was that?
Tylervandyke going to Wisconsin.
Tylervandyke going to Wisconsin should be good for him. He was a decent quarterback for Miami. He did some good things there. But, you know, Miami's not quite a complete team yet.
Right.
And until they get all the pieces right, every quarterback will struggle with that team.
Right. Good point. Well, Carol Lombardia?
I had no idea where he's going. I know he's a drop back pro guy. Right. I would have been amazed if he just said, I'm going to go into the draft. But I think Wisconsin's probably pretty good for him. Big Ten, if he can step right in, it should help them. It should help him too.
Okay, Bo, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be good for him. You know, to your point, Miami's not a complete team. So, I mean, if he can get somewhere, get a little bit better tape out there, you know, that'll help him get drafted for sure.
Coach?
Win for him and win for Wisconsin.
Travis?
Oh.
Well, no,
God.
You just didn't want to answer that question.
Yeah, I guess I'll take the fifth. Travis is long gone. Well, maybe short gone. All right. Who's left? Mel?
No.
Yeah, I didn't watch him play a snap, so I can't really tell you much about the kid, to be honest with you. I think there's over 3,000 guys in the portal. I think that number is continuing to swell. Like I said, it's like musical chairs. You know, everybody's trying to find a seat. And, you know, he was starting where he was. Now you're going to leave the warm weather, go to the cold weather, and you have to learn a new offense. And there's guys already there that have been in that program. But you have to compete wherever you go. I mean, nothing is going to be given to you. So, you know, I don't, you know, I just think sometimes you just need to dance with the gal that you brought to the dance and, you know, see how it works out.
Yeah, I think he's going to do well up in Wisconsin. And my reasons for saying that is, again, as we've all alluded to, drop back passer, lukefickell being a passing guy. All right, let's go back to the chat room. Well, Vocal, welcome back. Well, always enjoy seeing you, Van Dyke. I think will help bring Wisconsin back to relevance after recent struggles. All right, Sherlock Holmes is back, so let's put him back on here, and we'll let him wind it up. All right, Sherlock, get a little smarter and stay on the show. Kidding with you. It's all good. All right. So with that said, okay, Wisconsin was good for Russell Wilson. Patty Grimes, that's a great point. And, of course, James Burgess. I call it a win-win as well. You know what? I call your comment absolutely accurate. Okay, Sherlock, you ready to give me your opinion here? We're going to start calling you Sherlock from now on. Some thoughts about tylervandyke going to Madison.
Oh man, yeah. So I think the point was already made, unfortunately. But basically, yeah, he's going from a team that was middle of the pack as far as how often they ran the ball to a heavier run team. So it should be a good situation, a la Russell Wilson's, college experience as far as pro style offense. So in that way, I would hope it would be a good thing for him. Probably less interceptions, more ball control offense, more just finding those intermediate routes. Because again, they kind of fell off towards the end of the season, but that Miami defense wasn't really the best also. So yeah, it sounds like it might be a solid win-win situation.
Very good. All right, on to the next topic. Will Heisman Trophy winner Jaydendaniels out of LSU be a good pro? You know what, Jeremy? Go ahead.
What was the question again? I'm sorry. I had a message. I had a message that I had to take care of. So
all right.
Sorry.
What are you sorry about? You're gonna give me a.
I need a repeat of the question, please.
Oh, okay, no problem. Will Heisman Trophy winner Jaydendaniels be a good pro?
Well, I think it's his first year as a starting quarterback, is it not?
No,
And yes, he did it.
No.
What was it?
He started last year.
He started last year. So he's had his second year. He's an athletic quarterback, but those need to tend a little more seasoning before they're ready for the pros. I feel like he should stay in another year, but at the same time, he doesn't want to get hurt. But with NIL money, he might make just as much in college as he would with the pros.
Okay. All right, KR.
I don't know if he has another year.
He's at 5.
He's very slender. It's a crapshoot. I mean, look at the Brock Purdy's. Look at the kid from the Giants.
Tommy DeVito.
Very average quarterback at Illinois, and he's really, really playing well. I don't think you can predict anymore because can they make the jump? Can they make the maturity? Can they make the reads? You're going to get a lot of different coverages. If you can't read the secondary, you're in trouble. He's very athletic, but he probably doesn't weigh but about 190 pounds. I've seen him in person. He looks really slim. So can he take the beating? I don't know. He's a great athlete. He can run like a deer. Good arm. He's got all the tools. Can he make the adjustment? I don't know.
You know what? I'm going to put Will Vogel on before I turn over to you, Mal. When Vogel wants to get on a roll, he's really on a roll. So go ahead and read it.
I think Daniels will be decent pro, but he will need more seasoning and will be a second string in the pros and will sit for a few years.
For some reason, I agree with him. All right, we'll go back to James Burgess. Go ahead and read him, Jer.
Daniels should translate, but situationally, I hope he ends up with a good QB coach. I don't like his odds as much if it's a desperado scenario like Carolina did with Bryce.
Okay, very good. All right, very good. All right, Mel, you got a little bit out of the chat room, so tell me your thoughts about Daniels.
Yeah, he started out at Arizona State. Herman Edwards recruited him. It's a crapshoot. You never really know. It depends on the organization that he goes to. He has an opportunity to be pretty good because he's probably not going to be the first overall pick or not going to be one of those top draft picks. Maybe if he's lucky, he gets in the top 10, but I think Michael Penix is probably going to go before he goes because Michael Penix, I think, is a better thrower of the ball than he is. So he has an opportunity to go somewhere mid to later first round maybe, and that gives him the better chance. Maybe there's a quarterback already there that he can sit for a year or 2 or 3 or whatever and learn and develop, although, he is an older guy now because he has played 5 years. They're going to want to rush to get him out there. But, I think, he has all the tools that translate. It's really a lot of it's going to be up to him, his ability to pick up offenses. First of all, where he goes, the type of offense that he's in, what he's asked to do, then his ability to pick up that offense. Is he going to be able to stay in there and throw the ball from the pocket, or if his first read's not there, is he going to bail? That's going to be the determining factor of whether or not he makes it or not. He's going to have to, look at Brock Purdy. I mean, he's a prime example. He's going to have to learn to read defenses and be in a good system with somebody who's going to be there to really coach him up and help him and bring him along. He has all the tools, so it's really going to be up to him and the organization for them to get it all out of him.
Okay, Bo. And by the way, Will, glad to have you back. We enjoy your participation. You're a really sharp young guy, and who knows, at some point, maybe there's a chance you'll get back on the show. Jeremy and I will talk about that probably at some point. So glad to have you back, Will. You're a great kid. All right. With that said, go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to come down to fit, right? I mean, you can have all the talent in the world. If you go to a dysfunctional team, you're just not going to be very good. And to the same end, you look at Bryce Young, the struggles he's having. If he went to a different team that had an offensive line, didn't trade away weapons, he'd probably be having a very different year. So does he have a lot of skill set and talent that'll translate? Sure. But when it comes to the league, it's all fit. And so if he lands somewhere with a quarterback that he doesn't have to start, coaching staff that's good at player development, yeah, he can have a nice career. He could potentially be a functional starter in this league. If he goes somewhere that is dysfunctional, I mean, he could be on that Bryce Young track where he's going to struggle mightily.
All right, well, you know what I'll do? I'll do something I don't really do very often. I'm only going to give a one-word answer on the topic. So for a lot of you people that want to go out there and write this date down, 12/12/2023, that I gave a one-word answer on a topic, it's called ditto. Ditto. All right, I'm done talking about turn over to coach.
Ditto. Yeah, I mean, everybody said it.
Right.
It's just impossible to predict. I think that, what I like about the kid is he goes and accepts a Heisman Trophy, and he had all his teammates' names, engraved or sewn into the lining of his jackets. I thought that was a class move, pulling for him. Didn't get a chance to see him play a whole lot, but wish him well.
Coach Bono and I are considered ditto brothers. Okay, we'll leave it at that. And by the way, we got a new person here, a guy I've known a long time, and we'll see if he's a potential possibility in 2024. Fernando Holiday Vargas Frié. Uno, dos, tres. I don't know. Is it Forpo in Spanish? I don't know, but that's 4 names. Great show today. I don't even know about Spanish. I only know the 3. Anybody want to correct me? Okay. Fernando, we'll talk about you bringing you on at some point down the line. Let me get through the year. All right. With that said, after the Ditto brothers, we're going to talk it over to Sherlock.
Yeah. I mean, to a lot of people's points, I mean, it really is a crapshoot depending on the team that you go to, depending on the scheme that they run, depending on the support staff that you're given, etc. But also to Mel's point earlier, if he goes to one of those, middle of the first round to end of the first round teams, or potentially even a moderately good, solid team that maybe trades up to get him or something along those lines, we're having a totally different conversation. All of a sudden, maybe he has a solid locker room, solid culture, solid coaching staff, etc., to support him, and then those chances of him succeeding, maybe get closer to that 50-50 range. But as it stands, if you're talking just his skill set, I mean, he's explosive. He's a really good quarterback. He's really good, especially when he's within his rhythm as far as that's concerned. A lot like an NFL Tua in that way. But he also kind of can struggle with the different rotations, with the safety rotations, as far as that's concerned. So when you get to those complex NFL defenses, it's going to be really interesting to see how that works. So that first year in the league should be really beneficial if he can have that opportunity to sit on the bench and not be the savior of the franchise, at least for that immediacy.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, now this is a topic I really wanted to get on, but I want to make sure that when I did it, I had KR, Coach Bono, and Mel on at the same time. Everybody, of course, is going to be able to contribute to this one. But Army is joining the American Athletic Conference, and the Army-Navy game won't be counted as a conference game, but they could meet in the championship game if they qualify. So, and actually, that article, by the way, came sent to us by the American Athletic Conference and is on the South Florida Tribune. So, Jeremy, what are your thoughts about Army joining the American Athletic Conference?
I think it's good for them because they won't be an independent anymore. Because where they were an independent. And as an independent, you have to be a part of the Power Four to be able to get yourself into the college football playoffs. So by moving there, is it going to hurt them possibly? Yes, a little bit, because they're going to be going up against teams that are already established to how that conference is ran. But at the same time, that triple veer full house running formation they do, where they just dominate the time of possession and slow down the ball, if they get better defensive players going to West Point to join and be a part of the Army football team, they might even be able to dominate in the AAC.
Okay, KR.
Well, the same as with Navy. Air Force has been in the Mountain West for years. So I think it's good that Army's going in to a conference. They should be. Nobody should be independent anymore, not the way things are. Can they dominate that conference? Jeremy, I don't think so. They may. When I saw the Army-Navy game this year, and John, Coach Bono, they've gotten away from that just pure triple. They're trying to do something that I think is outside of their realm of capabilities. They need to stick with the triple option. They're only going to play 2 teams that have prepared for it every day. Every other team's got 4 days. You got 4 days to get ready for the triple. You better tackle the dive, you better tackle the quarterback, and you better cover the pitch. If you don't, you're going to get your butt kicked. And they need to stay with that instead of getting a little too fancy. But if they do that, they're going to be fine. 7-5, 8-4 for them is, to me, outstanding. They can't get the best players.
Let's go to the chat room before Mel takes over. All right. First of all, if the Vikings get, obviously, we're talking Jaydendaniels, okay, then.
Mutters evil curse against this happening. It'd be a whale of a scenario.
I was glad you took over that one. Good stuff, Jeremy. That was good. Oh, that was good. All right, let's keep it rolling. I thrive on when the chat room goes. All right, we'll go back to Fernando. So much pressure with finding the right quarterback. I think he should be at number 2. Anybody want to add to that?
No, we've all said it basically that Jaydendaniels should probably be a 2 his first year. Right. Can the Army recruit? Yes, they can to an extent. All they need is kids out of high school that have joined the military and have the grade point to get into West Point.
Okay. I was athletic director at Sickles High School here in Tampa, and our quarterback went to Navy. He was a last-minute deal, and his dad is John Hendrick, who coached at Mississippi State. He's now the defensive coordinator at Hines Community College in Mississippi, and he's actually coaching at South Florida at the time. And his son was John, the junior, was being recruited, but he didn't get recruited till January of his senior year, December. So I had to make a phone call to a senator in Orlando because you got to get appointments. And she wouldn't do it. She said, it's not fair because I've done other kids. This is for football. Sometimes they don't understand that. But he got in, and he was a backup quarterback, and now he's I think he's a lieutenant in the Navy. Right. But you recruit, but it's pretty hard. I mean, you better have the grades, and you get, they have 135, 140 players.
200. 200?
Is that? Wow.
John, you've been there.
I was a recruiting coordinator for 6 years.
This guy.
So
if anybody knows that, if anybody knows it, it's good. All right, Jeremy.
They play sprint football there. For you guys that don't know it used to be 100, 175. Is it 100, 200 pounds now?
150. 150s.
Wow.
But somebody had a quarterback that started at sprint football and moved up and played with the big guys.
Yeah, I mean, those kids are like wrestlers. A lot of them have to suck weight and all that stuff. I mean, it's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So with that said, continue reading the comments, Jeremy. I want to get through them, and then I want to turn it over to Mel, then back to you, Coach. Obviously, you seem to have a lot more knowledge on this, and we'll let you elaborate since you've been there, done that. And I know that your moving vans have gone everywhere except probably overseas, but all right.
Air Force got better thanks to being in a competitive conference for the most part. So, yeah, getting into the AAC, I like. Air Force still going to kick ass, though.
Well, okay.
I wanted to make a comment on that.
Sure.
A good friend of mine's son played baseball at Air Force, and he told me that they play by different rules at Air Force, that their president and their commander over there has let some marginal kids in at Air Force when they were so good, when Fisher DeBerry was there, and they really did a great job. But they took some kids that were little that couldn't get in Army or that, well, they, not that they couldn't get in, but they were a little questionable grade wise, but Air Force got them in. Now, whether that's true or not, this is what I heard. John could probably reiterate that more than I can.
And now they're flying Delta.
Okay, Jeremy, one more, and then I want to turn over to Mel.
Yeah.
I love it when the chat room is active. We'll keep this show going forever, as long as it's active. Well, not forever. Bo has to get someplace at some point or another. But, go ahead, Jeremy.
It is hard to make a playoff spot as an independent. It is better to join a conference. I don't know if it's just me that feels that way. Yes, they may struggle, but that comes with the learning curve of facing different opponents in games and recruiting.
No, well, actually, I don't think you're out of line at all. I think a lot of us probably, I can tell you right now, Will, I do agree with that. All right. But that said, you've had a chance to look at the chats, Mel. So what are your thoughts about Army joining the AAC?
I mean, I think it's good. I mean, I think at some point in time, some of these independent schools will probably have a hard time, with schedules. So being a part of a conference, I think that helps out tremendously for them. They'll get an opportunity to have a common opponent that they'll know, and obviously those opponents will know them, but they're going to face that type of offense, once or twice a year. And it's a very, very difficult offense because you got to have some very, very good discipline in order to stop that. That's why they're always able to have the amount of rushing yards that they have, because it's a very difficult offense to defend. But I think it's good for them. I always enjoy watching the Army Navy game. I think that's a heck of a tradition. I think it's a real honor for them, and it's an honor for us to be able to watch them go out there and compete the way that they do. And I think it's a great American tradition.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, no, it's always a fun game to watch. It's going to be, kind of a bummer that it's not going to be as consistent. But with as many teams that are moving around, that's to be expected. But them joining a conference obviously helps them if they have playoff aspirations, especially with how big these conferences are becoming. Out of conference games are going to be so much harder to schedule. So independents are going to have a real hard time filling a schedule. So you're going to see a lot of these independents have to join with somebody if they want to fill a full year.
Excellent points, Bo. All right, back to the chat room before we go back to Coach Bono. I know Coach Bono loves an active chat room, don't you? And Will Vogel said different opponents in games and recruiting, no doubt about it. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's continue on. All right, Jeremy, whose voice is going to wear out first? Not mine, because you're going to do this.
Air Force needs ground fuelers in the hangars. So, yes, it did, in fact, happen. Air Force likes to win. Fosters a good trait for the main job, too.
Okay, now back to Will.
Question for the panel. Will Navy join a conference in the next few years?
They're in a conference.
They're in it.
Yeah, they're in the AAC. Well,
Yeah.
That's okay. All right, Coach.
Okay. I'm going to try to keep this brief because I could probably talk about this for an hour. But
I'm sure you could.
First of all, yeah, it is good for them to be in a conference. Where it helps them recruiting being in a conference is all the service academies recruit Texas heavily. So you're recruiting a Texas kid, you know that you're going to at least every other year be at Rice. You're going to be at UTSA. You're going to be at North Texas. All right. There's also Florida's. They're going to recruit Florida. So they're going to play, South Florida and Florida Atlantic, all those things. So, you can tell those kids, hey, you're going to have some games close to home. In terms of recruiting, the academies are completely different from every other Division I school. The academies don't have an athletic scholarship. Every single cadet, all right, every single midshipman, every single Air Force cadet that's on campus, they're all on scholarship. That's part of the, and the way they pay that back, they have their military service commitment that they have to serve at the end of when they graduate. But, the service academies are always going to recruit numbers and have numbers. There's no red shirt years. There's no easy courses. Those kids are taking 18 credit hours a semester. They're graduating in 4 years. West Point's, they're all getting a Bachelor of Science degree. They're all taking, engineering classes. And I mean, it is not a place for the faint of heart or the weak or the timid. Man, if you can't cut the mustard, you ain't going to make it. There's no transfers coming in there. The freshman class, is going to be the largest it's ever going to be on the first day. And then from there on, it just dwindles down. So, that's the reason and how they're able to, they have to have a big roster. You've got to be able to develop players in a short period of time. It's a good move for Army.
Great analysis. Well, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. And finally, Travis.
I mean, I don't think there's much to add to that. Yes, Coach Bono pretty much laid it all out, and for a lot of the similar reasons, that's why a Navy would struggle. In the same conference, it kind of is what it is. But so to the point of, is it a good thing? Yes, it's absolutely a great thing. For Army to actually join the conference. To his point, that they'll be in a few more circles than they already would be in, and we see the advertisement for joining the armed services pretty much everywhere you can look at, around a football game, and now you actually have them in the football games in places where they wouldn't always be. So yeah, that's always going to be a good situation. But yeah, to the point of winning the games and things of that nature, that's when it gets a little bit murky, because again, to Coach Bono's point, this is not an easy situation. And as far as not an easy situation for the coaches, also trying to build that squad to compete with these other teams. But it's an easier conference overall with SMU leaving. So got that going for them.
All right.
So Scott, you're saying they'll still play each other every year, right? But that game won't count as conference play?
Yeah, I think what they're saying is it won't count in the conference standings because they're locked in to play each other. I don't know how their scheduling works. I'm guessing that they play like divisions, and then they'll play certain teams from other divisions where, they're going to, obviously they need to maintain the integrity of that game. And if it happens to be where they're in the championship, then the Army Navy game will be the conference.
The Army Navy game is always after everything, after the championship.
Right. That's why they're saying, I think that's why they're saying it's not going to be part of the normal standings. If they end up both winning, if they're both in the championship game, then it'll be, I'm guessing they'll keep it in Philadelphia or whatever neutral site they already have it planned for. It'll just be an added prize for the game.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I was reading up on that too, Coach, that if they meet in the conference championship game, that they can meet in there, but it's not. And again, it's a non-conference game and had been forever. So I'm with you. So they could play two times, one for it all and one for bragging rights anyhow. So it'll be pretty interesting how it plays out.
But they always play after the conference championship. So that's what I'm saying. So I mean, that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to see them twice. I would just think you would.
No, I don't think they'll. Unless I'm wrong, I don't think they're talking about them playing twice.
Yeah, I think they would just play once and be for
right.
No, as I understand, okay, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that they would play twice, one for the conference championship, a separate game, and then they would also play the regular game. If anybody wants to question me and research, I'm more than happy to do it.
I don't know. This is the first time hearing about it.
Yeah, no, well, that's why we're bringing up. We like to have different topics on here, and we're all over the map tonight. Again, this is the football show where I want to make sure that everybody can hear it from pro, college, and whatever. And I think this is something I really been wanting to put on. I'm glad we had a chance to do it. So I'm intrigued. I mean, my dad was in the Army, and of course, my uncle served in Vietnam, and of course, everybody at some point has to have a family member that may have served anyway. So it's just, and I think the game has always been great to watch because I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong on this, you'll worry about transfer portals when it comes to the service academies, but it's fair game everywhere else. So we'll go from there. All right. As I promised last week, we're going to have a little bit of fun with the bowl games, but I only have 4 names that really stand out. Of course, I'm not going to talk about the Fenway Bowl or the Pinstripe Bowl because, the Red Sox and the Yankees are going to get a piece of that action anyways. But the 4 names that stood out to me that were intriguing were the famous Taosterybowl. Now, I don't know what that is, okay. Now, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, we know where that's at. The dukesmayobowl, and then the poptartsbowl. My gosh, I'm getting hungry thinking about the poptartsbowl. All right, we'll make this segment really a little bit shorter. Jeremy, of all these intriguing bowl names, which one do you like the best?
Oh, I like the Quick Lane Change Bowl myself because it's right here in Motor City. You get
Well,
to
I didn't
see it.
offer that as a choice, but you can add that if you want the quick lane bowl. All right.
I didn't hear the
When it comes
choices.
to
I'm
Jeremy
sorry.
Ball, Rick, okay, we have 4 things, but I'll decide to go ahead and throw a curveball. But you remember, you're not on baseball, you're on football, and we'll talk about the quick lane. All right, go ahead, Jeremy. I'm having a good time with
What
you.
were your other choices?
Yeah, there you go. Now he forgets what I said. He's got quick lane. Oh, I know this guy.
That's strike 2, Jeremy.
There
Right?
you go. Okay. All right, Jeremy. I didn't know. Maybe the headset effect is obviously getting to you because you didn't hear the first 4. All right. Well, famous Toasterybowl. I like busting his chops, anyways. And he
Hey,
handles
it's fun.
it like a true pro. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Duke's Mayo Bowl, and Pop-Tarts Bowl.
The Pop-Tart Bowl. Who doesn't like a good chocolate fudge frosted Pop-Tart?
Okay. All right, KR.
I don't care. I'm going to watch them all. I can't wait for the playoff, the 2 playoff bowls with
Right.
Michigan and Alabama, and
Okay.
that's the one I want to watch. But I'll watch them all. Unless I have
Let's
a
go.
honeydew list here at home, I'm watching them all.
All right, there you go. All right, let's go back to Will Volga Duke because I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, I'm sure you'll probably be there. Give us a report. If you ever run a story, go ahead. We'll put it up on the trailer. All right, Mel, I gave you 4. Of course, in Jeremy's eyes, 4 could mean more. But anyways,
Probably the Pop-Tart Bowl. Where is that played at?
I don't know. Where is it?
Legoland?
Oh, no, but I know Bo's capable of finding it out, right, Bo? Our crack statistician, Bo.
Oh, I mean, I guess I can, sure.
Well, which one you like as you research it on the fly?
I mean, the Pop-Tart Bowl, this is college kids, right?
Right, right.
Like if they had a top ramen bowl, it would have made sense.
NC State and Kansas State. Pop-Tart.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just trying to find out. where
It's in Orlando.
Oh, okay. That's all I need to know. Orlando. Okay.
Wasn't there a Rice Krispies Bowl at one time?
No, the Kellogg's Tony the Tiger Bowl. It's actually the Sun Bowl in El Paso.
Right. Well, I've been to the Sun Bowl. Yeah, and I got news for you. The Pop-Tarts Bowl is fitting for a college student because when we're college students, we're always broke anyways. I used to go to cheap restaurants. I mean, if you've been to college, we all know we're broke. All right. So you like the Pop-Tarts. Oh, what about you, Coach?
I'm going with the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
Yeah.
I took my Chippewas out there in 2017, and we squared off against the Wyoming Cowboys in Josh Allen's last game in college, and he torched us. But man, I will say this: those people out there in Boise, they know how to throw a party. They did a fantastic job. Our kids had an incredible experience. Anybody that I know that has gone there, I mean, you think about it, it's like, man, you want to really go to a warm weather place. We had an absolute ball, and they treated us like gold.
You know what? Back to Burgess. Okay, hang on, Travis. These guys are classics tonight. I'm telling you. All I know. Go ahead, Jeremy.
All I know is that since I was a kid, I thought Captain Crunch Cereal Bowl would be a brilliant marketing. Winning school gets a free year of Crunch Berries for the cafeterias.
Oh, I like it too. All right. You know what? It's funny too because, Coach, when you talk about the Idaho Potato Bowl, you got to play on that blue field. What was it like for you to actually play on that blue field?
It was, that turf's old. That was my only complaint about it. I mean, but by the time you play the game, you've watched them on film. Well, no, you haven't really, but you practiced on it a couple times. It's not, it's not a big deal. It's a neat setting though. You can see why Boise's been able to build that program up. It's a beautiful area. I mean, it's great campus. Facilities there are outstanding. It's a neat place.
All right.
Well, as I recall, that field, because the NCAA was trying to do away with all of the off-colored fields, it's old turf because if they replace it, they can't go back to blue, right?
I think they have a grandfather. I think they're grandfathered in. I think that they can. I just don't think you can build any new off-color fields.
Well, Eastern Washington has a red field.
You know what?
And Eastern Michigan has a gray field.
Ooh,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, KR, I was about to mention Eastern Washington and Eastern Michigan. Good points about all these field colors.
EWU. I like that college. They put out some good products there.
Cooper Cup, Eastern Washington.
Yep.
We are getting really close to that Captain Crunch Bowl with the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, though.
Yeah,
Might have a
That's been this Tony Tiger Sun Bowl for some years now.
Yeah, but these are the four that stood out where I looked. If I want to get into a whole description about every one of these, it was unbelievable. I like this one that Burgess brings up. I'll go ahead and mention it because a lot of people from Detroit are familiar. Cherry Bowl, the last couple of years, but I saw Army beat MSU back in high school.
Cherry Bowl.
That was over at the Pontiac Silverdome. All right, Sherlock, you better get them in here before we have another one. Go ahead.
All right, cool. Can I choose the Duke's Mayo Bowl? Because that just sounds gross.
Right?
Yeah, it just sounds gross, but it just sounds like somebody needs to be just like doing a belly flop into a pool of mayo. So like that just sounds fun.
Yeah, and to answer Will Vogel's question, I've covered one Boca Raton Bowl when Central Florida took on BYU and Zach Wilson put on a show. I'm probably going to apply for the USF Syracuse. I'll see what happens in the next day or so when the deadline is, when I'm kicking the tires, because it'd be neat to see my alma mater here in my backyard. So good stuff. Well, boy, you're on a roll, as every one of you in the chat room are. I really enjoy the activity tonight. It is unbelievable. And yet we have quite a few more topics to go. So with that said, okay, this here topic is for Coach Bono. Okay, and I really inserted it for Coach Bono. All right, you know what, Burgess? All right, let's go ahead. Why not? Put him up there. We'll live. Marshall Travis. I don't know. He could be the Marshall. All right, whatever. Jeremy, you can answer that one if you want. Or
Travis.
Will Levis could be the marshal of that parade. Travis. Oh boy, yeah, that would be good.
I mean, we call him the mayonnaise messiah on our show. Right. So yeah, that checks out.
Okay, well, you know what? This coach is inserted strictly for Coach Bono, okay? Strictly for Coach Bono. Iowa finished the season with 3,123 offensive yards and 4,156 punting yards. Oh, that's a special team specialty. Well, you know what? I'm going to lead off with Coach on this one. Then I'll who knows what order I'll go in. But we got to start with the coach since he came to mind and I put this thing out there.
They also finished with 10 wins. A chance to win 11. So I'm a huge kirkferentz fan, always will be. Gave me my first opportunity to be a full-time coach back at the University of Maine in, what year was that? Like 1988, 89, right around there. And, I even babysat his kids. So Brian Ferentz, I babysat. So I've actually known those kids, his whole family. So, at the end of the day, I mean, fans like the style points and all that stuff, but it's, there's a lot of teams, a lot of college teams that would trade in the second to have 10 wins on that slate and have a chance to play in the Big Ten championship. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I like your perspective on it, but it's still hard to believe. 3,123 offensive yards and 4,156 punting yards. I mean, that is a stat, Coach, with all due respect.
There's no question.
Yeah, and that's why I put it on there. I get it. And as Will Vogel said, that's a crazy stat. I didn't even know that. Wow, you learn something new every day. Oh, yeah. Well, be on enough of these things, and when you research, you learn a lot new. All right, I'm going to go to Sherlock. Go ahead.
I mean, they average scoring 16 points a game. Is that right?
Yeah.
I have to be crazy. This is 16.6 points a game, but they went 10-3 somehow. That is amazing. That they are the New York Jets of college football. They are finding ways to win in spite of offense. That is wild and awesome. Congratulations to that coaching staff and that defense. Goodness.
Okay, Bo, what do you think of that stat?
Yeah, I mean, what that is a testament to their defense, right? Because they clearly weren't moving the ball, and neither was anyone else. So, good on them. I was going to compare them to the Steelers, right? That defense is legit, and that offense, takes most Sundays off. So that's kind of what I give them their likeness to. But kudos to their defense. Their defense was absolutely top notch.
Okay, Mel.
Yeah, that speaks to why the coach's son was released mid-season. Gives you an idea that the West, that side of that conference is probably not as good either, but it also is a testament to the defense. They play very good defense over there, but that side of the conference is not as strong as the East side, and they need to somehow or other they need to balance that out because there's only really a couple teams that really play over there. Iowa and Wisconsin. Really, everybody else is just kind of Nebraska. They haven't done anything in a long time. Maybe they'll do something now. We'll see here shortly. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously a testament to the defense, but it also goes, it shows why the coach's son was relieved of his duties. But I mean, I'm a firm believer. I like defense. I mean, that doesn't bother me at all. That they only had that many yards and they had more punt yards than had or total offense. That doesn't bother me at all because they won 10 games. That's what matters. Winning is what matters. It doesn't matter how you do it. It just matters that you do it because that's what everybody keeps track of, your wins and your losses.
All right. Well, you know what? Back to Burgess before he take it over to KR. All right, Burgess.
I'm a kirkferentz fan too, Coach Bono. He's been there a long time. They don't have great high school football in Iowa. He's done a great job. Their defensive coordinator, you got to give him a bonus because what they did, their offense was putrid. And they've had some problems there. I'm surprised that Kirk is still employed because of all the stuff. And I don't know all what's going on inside, but there's a lot of problems over there. And I guess he's been there so long that they don't want to fire him. But his son's, I guess, is the scapegoat. But they did unbelievable to win that many games and that have that. I saw them a couple times this year, and they're putrid on offense. I saw them in the at that time the Outback Bowl a few years ago, and they still line up with a fullback, and they still go under center, and they're pretty old-fashioned.
They huddle.
Yeah, they huddle, and they don't run around, and they still run power, and they run off tackle, and two tight ends at times. So they're pretty much old-fashioned, and so I don't know how much longer he's going to last. He's not a young man, but I've always liked him. I got to meet him at the Outback Bowl when they played Mississippi State. Class act. Guy's a class
All right, by the way, let's go back to James Burgess. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Out punting your offense by 1K yards somewhere. Rayguy is smiling about this. Absolutely, Burgess. That being said, I was pretty much going to say that. You'd want to talk about out kicking your coverage. I mean, that's why they won. Think about it. If your punting game is getting you 4,000 yards, your defense is defending a very long field every time. And they're a very good defensive thing. But on that offense, you want to know what I think they missed? That rookie that plays for Detroit, Samlaporta, because he led the team in receptions and in receiving yards last year, as well as touchdowns. And say what you want. I think Jim Harbaugh made the right decision last year when he let Cade McNamara transfer to Iowa.
Well, you know what? I remember when I was covering the Miami Dolphins back in the early 80s. Ever heard of a guy named reggieroby? Oh, my goodness. I've never
Iowa
seen
Hawkeye.
What's that?
Iowa Hawkeye.
Yep.
There you go. I've never seen a guy kick the way he did. Reggieroby, to me, it's tragic that he passed away prematurely, but Reggieroby, to this day, is the best punter I have ever seen. That's all I have to say.
Wore a watch. He wore a watch when he played.
What's that?
He wore a watch on his left wrist when he played.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's turn it over to the pros. Okay, Coach, again, I think about you. That's why this thing got in here in the first place. Special team, punting. Okay. All right, a couple pro topics, and then we're going to actually do something different. We're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani to wrap up this show. And for a lot of you people out there that have actually been taking over the contract, I feel anytime you have a story like this, everybody gets a crack across the network to talk about it. So we'll briefly talk about two football games. The Lions lost to the Bears 28-13, but the Bears started 0-4. And in their previous 9 games, they're 5-4. All right, Jeremy, some quick thoughts about the Lions and the Bears.
Oh, the O-line play was horrendous, which means Jarolgoff was not able to read right. He was also playing with gloves for the first time in his career. Maybe he should have trained with Teddy 2 gloves all week so he could learn how to throw like that. because most of his passes were at the player's feet. The best pass he had all day was a beautiful pass where he threaded it between 3 defenders right to DPJ for a first down on a long third down. But other than that, most of them were abysmal. And a rare 3-drop game from Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Bears' D-line was all over Goff like white on rice. Those games are going to happen. It's any given Sunday. The Bears' defense is improving, and it is what it is.
Chat room real quick, then KR goes back. Okay, Burgess, put it up there. Jeremy's a designated reader. Make it real quick.
Punting matters. Good punters force the opponents to need more first downs.
Whatever Burgess says is pretty intelligent anyways. Go ahead with well.
The O-line didn't play well at all this week as opposed to the defense, right, Jeremy? Yeah, I just said that. The defense did okay. I mean, they forced some stops. AG's got to get consistent on how he calls the defense. On top of that, we got our sacks out of the 3-4 formation. I understand we run this base 4-2-5, but every time we go to that base, teams are throwing over the top on us all the time because we're not getting pressure from the front 4. They're dropping back in a soft shell zone coverage out of that. It does not look good. AG needs to quit being stubborn and saying, okay, we got to run this 4-2-5 because it's my base defense.
JR, you watched the Lions game?
I watched a little bit. Not. I saw some highlights. The Bears have gotten better since they picked up somebody on a trade, and but I'm surprised the Lions. But it's like Jeremy says, it's pro football. But the Bears, to me, I saw them early in the year. They stink.
Okay. All right, back to Burgess, and we turn over to Mel. All right, go ahead.
Lions, Bears. We'll steal a line from Star Trek. Some days you get the bear, some days the bear gets you. They were on, the Lions were off. Plenty of reasons the coaches get ornery this week.
I like the Star Trek analogy. Okay, Mel.
Yeah, I mean, you got to peak at the right time. And I think the Lions peaked too soon. And I think obviously teams are starting to catch up with what they've been doing. And right now we're staring 10-7 right in the eyes. I mean, that's what we're looking at with the next 4 games that we have. Denver, I think they play them at home, right? They play them in Detroit.
Yeah, this
Denver,
week, Saturday
Denver
night.
They've been playing very, very well. They're going this way. Their trajectory is that way. Dallas is going. Minnesota. They should win. They should at least split. At least split one of those games. Worst case scenario, at least split. And then Dallas, that's probably going to be an L. Because they're hitting their stride at the right time. But I mean, it's very possible they could only win one. If they just split. They lose Denver and split one, lose to Denver and Dallas and split one. They're 10-7. That's what they're looking at, and they're limping into the playoffs.
And at the beginning of the season, we kind of had that as the floor, Mel. Remember when we talked about that? We said the floor was 10 wins this season, looking at the schedule.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think they shot their wide a little too early. It's going to be interesting to see how they finish up here, because that's going to whether it's either going to catapult them in the playoffs or they're just going to kind of stumble in there and they say, hey, yeah, we made the playoffs for the first time since 91, whatever it was, 92, whatever it was the last time they made the playoffs.
2016.
Just be happy with that, because you can see the level of play is ratcheted up again. Here we are in December. The intensity level it goes up another level, and they haven't matched that intensity level. They've got to be able to match that intensity level.
Okay, Bo.
Thank God for the Giants.
Now, my big concern with the Lions, obviously they needed a little bit better offensive line play, but my biggest concern with the Lions is really since their bye week, their defense hasn't been right, and that. It's weird because they go into the bye week, that defense is clicking. Obviously they did have a couple of injuries along the way here, but I mean, who hasn't? But that defense is a huge concern. And to Mel's point, they're kind of backing into the playoffs, which is not an effective way to win games.
Coach.
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising, but it's not. I mean, again, Jeremy said it any given Sunday, but there's a couple factors you're looking at. First of all, it's a divisional game, right? So playing each other twice. Those teams know each other. The players really know each other. And I hate to do this but it's a fact. The Lions are a dome team, and now you're playing a game in Chicago, one of the worst surfaces in the league, late in the year. And, it's just different. It's different. The ball's harder to catch, it's harder to throw, even running the ball's different. If you're not practicing on grass all the time, if you're not practicing in those elements, it's a fact. It becomes a factor. And, I just think, we'll see what happens. I think there's some great takes. Again, I didn't get a chance to see that game, but it doesn't surprise me just knowing, the league, in Chicago, those guys, man, they're starting to play for their jobs, right? And, Detroit's still a little bit of a younger team. They, takes those kids a year or two to grow up and figure out what it takes to win in the league, and some of those things you just have to experience.
Travis?
Yeah, so they obviously had some issues just keeping drives going and, converting on their, converting on the third downs. And that was the biggest takeaway for me is the turnovers in this game, because when you lose the turnover battle 3-0, you're probably going to lose. That's most NFL teams, but they were 6 of 15 on third downs also. So we already saying Detroit's defense played reasonably solid, holding Chicago's offense to 6 of 14 on thirds. Well, yeah, the Lions were the same essentially. So neither offense was really hitting on all cylinders. But after you have the Lions getting shut out. That's the game. Again, the Lions were heading at the half. So to not get any points, to have multiple turnovers, and to have both of your running backs average over 6 yards a carry, I don't know what we're doing there. I'm just, again, both running backs have over 10 carries and both are averaging over 6 yards a carry, and you have 3 turnovers and you're struggling on third downs. Sounds like you probably should be running the ball more. That's just from my perspective.
All right. Well, my perspective is this. Okay, you traded up for a playmaker named Jameson Williams. You better start using him. This guy's a weapon and a threat. And Jeremy, okay, like I said, great minds think alike. Okay, so I'll just say get Jameson Williams a football, and you better start using him. So I don't know who did the disappearing act this time, but it's okay.
No.
Okay, I'm sure he'll be back sooner or later. Sooner would be better than later because the show will be done. But yeah, get Jameson Williams a football already.
What's up is undone.
There you go.
What's up to me?
All right. Well, we talk about one. We're going to talk about the team located in my neck of the woods. The Miami Dolphins lost last night to, let's see, is Mel back? No, not quite yet. All right. But anyways, the Miami Dolphins lost to the Tennessee Titans at home last night, 28-27. Another December collapse. I don't know. Mel, you abracadabra, alakazam. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, Jeremy started off, and we'll get around to Mel sooner or later. All right.
What a game. And if it wasn't for them losing Tyreek Hill, guess what? I don't think Miami loses that game. Because that was the difference maker. When they lost him in the second quarter, that offense looked anemic compared to what it looked like through the first quarter.
Okay. KR?
I saw the same, the Dolphins go by 2 touchdowns. I had to go to the bathroom. I come back and they're down they're only up by 1 touchdown, not even that. And then they come back and then defense fell apart. But Tagovailoa didn't look good at all in the second half, I don't think. And I agree with Jeremy. They lose Hill, who's probably the best player they've got. That hurt him.
That's probably the best offensive player in the league right now.
Probably. He's scary fast.
All right, Travis.
Everybody has some great points. I mean, these are the points of the game. It's funny because I was playing against Tyreek in my fantasy league, and I ended up winning by 4 points. So I was ecstatic when he got hurt. Sorry, I'm just keeping 100. I'm being honest. Hey, that's just for me. I got to be honest with you. Hey, but that changed the game drastically. Like the wind was out of the sails for the Dolphins. offense and defense. The defense started pressing, started making just dumb mistakes. You got Chubb. They had a third down stop, but he throws his helmet, takes it off after the play. They end up getting a touchdown out of that drive. That's a 4-point penalty. Like, this is just like they were doing bad stuff. They missed 4 to 5 interceptions. I swear to you, where the mayonnaise Messiah just throws it up, and the corners for the corners for Miami just don't pick it. I'm talking like lollipops he's throwing up there, and I as a DB, I'm just like, yo, what is happening here? Like, I'm looking at this game just like pulling my hair out that I absolutely don't have. And I wasn't understanding it, but this felt like the Arizona game against the Titans where he had, the 4 touchdown game where he came out. And I'm just like, am I crazy here? I'm looking at this game, I'm seeing this tape, and these aren't great plays. These are just bad defense. And I hadn't seen that from the Miami Dolphins, honestly. But that was some bad secondary play going on. So yes, Tyreek missing sucks, and that would change the offense and the defense. They just did not make plays on the ball. Like, they had multiple opportunities for picks.
Okay, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've noticed with Miami all year. It's not like their defense is good, right? Like, it's not horrible, but they don't have a good defense, and they're really designed to play with lead. Like, I don't love that defense, and so as soon as they lose some of that offensive firepower, that defense becomes more of a liability. So they need all their stars.
Coach?
Man, I'll be honest too. I turned the game. When they went down 2 scores, I switched over to the Giants game. Because that was a better game, and didn't know that they lost until this morning, and was like, whoa, what happened? But every dog, does it mean they're collapsing? I don't think so. I mean, it's every dog has his day. I think the Dolphins are still a strong team and a contender in the AFC.
Okay, Jeremy, the chat room.
I agree. Losing Hill hurt the Dolphins and is a difference maker, as we all know.
Okay, next one.
Tyreek gets a nod up for MVP. They are not as good without the weapon. He causes fear in addition to making the plays he makes.
Okay, good enough. Okay, last but not least, Mel, and then I have only a couple of words on this, and then we're going to go to baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I think you play differently defensively when he's in the game versus when he's not in the game. You got to play more honest. Number one, or you got to commit 2 guys to him, so that opens up a lot. Opens up a lot for the other guys. Opens up a lot in your run game because you don't have that extra defender committed to stopping the run. So not having him in the game definitely affected the game. You can see how things kind of changed when he got hurt, and then the play, unfortunately, it was a horse collar tackle and they didn't call it. And I mean, those are very, very dangerous. I hate that type of tackle because when the guy's legs get caught underneath, because man, so you see so many bad things happen when an individual is tackled like that. And for them to miss that call, I don't know how they missed that call, but it's unfortunate because obviously, we've been watching history with him. Everything he's done has been record setting up to this time. Nobody had 1,400 yards receiving in 12 games, I think it was. Nobody has ever done that before, and he's on pace to, surpass what Calvin Johnson did. So we were watching history. So it's kind of unfortunate. Hopefully, he's not hurt too bad, and he'll be able to come out there next week and continue on this record pace.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about this is people in this area are very paranoid because the Dolphins have a history of December and January collapses. So, and I can understand where they're going through. But as I read the Dolphins transcripts all the time, I will say this much they have going for them. Their head coach, Mike McDaniel, is the most level-headed, even-keeled coach on the planet. And when you have a guy that young, that's so mature for his age, I give him a puncher's chance of getting the playoffs, but their schedule doesn't get any easier. All right. I know Bo's got to go very shortly. I want to be conscious of that. So the only baseball topic we're going to introduce is without question the most obvious one, and that's this, okay? But what we're going to do right now is we are going to lead off with Bo anyhow. The big news is Shohei Ohtani is deferring $680 million of his $700 million salary and $2 million per year. So and that which constitutes the 20 million. His remaining salary is 68 million per year beginning in 2034. So Bo, this contract is an albatross, and it falls into the line of Bobby Bonilla. Get me this guy's agent, for God's sakes. But while we're on topic here, let's talk about the fact that it's still out there, Bo. What are your thoughts?
It's such a bizarre contract. I mean, I guess it's cool in the way that they can surround him with people, right? So they're designing it in a way that he can get other talent on the team. They can try and win immediately. And then, I mean, I guess they're hoping that this, they're going to be able to spend more later, so that won't hurt as much when they don't have him on the field. Like it's the later portion that it just seems like they're hog tying themselves. But I mean, if they go win a ring or two, maybe it's worth it. I don't know.
Yeah, in their particular case, they haven't won one in a full season, and who knows how long anyway. So, and the fact is, Ohtani collected a pretty penny when he was with the LA Angels, so he can afford to go out there and make financial adjustments if winning a ring is more important. All right, Mel, go ahead. What are your thoughts about the Ohtani contract?
Well, I'm a Dodger fan, so I'm happy that he chose the Dodgers. Obviously, the contract, I think it was a smart contract for the fact that he makes a lot of money in endorsements. He's going to make a lot of money more money in endorsements, playing for a winning franchise and a storied franchise like the Dodgers. And then I think he also wants to avoid some of those California taxes on that money too, because he's going to get taxed at a high clip. I mean, more than 50%. I think if he can, defer the majority of that money and take it wherever he's going to take it, wherever he decides to move, he'll be a lot better off doing that than he would be, getting that money right now. So, but I'm happy for the Dodgers because, like I said, I'm a Dodger fan.
Okay, back to the chat room again. We're gonna go ahead back to Burgess. Jeremy, you know the drill by now.
Yeah, here's hoping Tyreek is back to. I'm a Lions fan, but also a general NFL fan. It is better when the best are out on the field. Good luck to the predatory sea mammals.
All right, let's continue on in the chat room. Fernando,
is there better hitting in the National League?
I don't know. All right, Burgess is back. He's a versatile guy, isn't he? All right, go
700 million. I remember back when Reggie Jackson got a negative press for being too greedy, whining $1 million. I guess the checks don't bounce. Go ahead, Dodgers. I'm a capitalist.
That's pretty good. All right, keep it going, Jeremy.
Build around him with enough money to spend.
All right, now. All right, we've talked to. All right, who's next? All right, Travis, did I put you on this one yet?
No, but yeah, I mean, I think everyone's kind of made a lot of the main points. He can avoid those California taxes. We're talking by the time he's getting that money, he could be in any state, Texas, Florida, Arizona, like wherever, where he doesn't have to pay it. He makes like $50 million off the field, like $40 million in endorsements already. I mean, the man prints money, so you got that going for you. And he can help the team build and actually maybe get a few championships, hopefully, fingers crossed out of this. At that point, it's a win-win-win. It's just, the New Orleans Saints, Bobby Bonilla, whatever you want to call it, just push it down, kick the can down the road and pay for it later. Yeah, this is a great deal for him.
Coach?
Man, that's a lot of money.
Right.
That is a lot of money. The only question I had is, I hope there's something built in there that, God forbid, something happens to him. At least his family gets that money, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that struck me that could go wrong. But I think Mel's point with the taxes is right on point, because if you've lived in California, you know that it is no joke, man. It is an expensive place to live.
Yeah, $700 million. I'm not a mathematician. My late father-in-law, Fred Ebling, was. But you got $700 million, although he's smart. None of that's money. Other money can be taxed for a little while anyways, but except for the $2 million, as I understand it. But either way, I'd be curious to see what the bottom line is in terms of what his net is after the taxes. And you wonder whether or not he should have signed it.
It'd been less than $350 million. I can tell you that. It'd been over 50% taxes. I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
Oh, that's right.
I
No,
mean-
I forgot. You're in the financial business nowadays.
No,
aren't
I'm
you?
just saying, California taxes, man. They, for the past
Save us all.
Yeah,
too high, man. High. It would have taken over half his money.
yeah.
I volunteer to take a $15,000 non-taxable donation.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jeremy, you can take that when it's your turn. But okay, yeah, I'm with you all the way. But the reality is this: Mel's right. When you've been in California, you get whacked pretty good. I mean, I never lived there. I'm a Florida guy. Like to know state income taxes. Don't like
it's
9 million freeways, but love to go there.
Out there.
Yeah, I enjoy going to California. It's one of my favorite places to visit, but it'd be pretty costly to live there. So, but all right, Jeremy, since you wanted to go ahead and like we did in the old grade school days, you raise your hand. Why don't you go ahead and talk about the topic?
Think about this. His contract is bigger than the Phoenix Coyotes are worth.
I noticed that.
That team is only
that.
worth $675 million. Even with them deferring the $2 million to the end, that 680 is worth more than the whole damn team.
You know what, Jeremy? I saw that stack and I was pretty intrigued, but I'm glad that you went out and researched it.
But that being said, talk about albatrosses. You've already said it. Bobby Bonilla.
Right.
Miguel Cabrera. And what that contract did towards the end of his career to the Detroit, being able to get good free agents there.
Right.
That's why we had to rebuild after Dave Dombrowski traded away the farm. That farm had to be rebuilt just to make that team into anything.
Right. Good point. Excellent points, Jeremy. All right, back to Burgess. Go ahead.
Me too, Jeremy. I'll ask 50K though and gift him back 25 on the slide.
That's funny. This Burgess is on a roll tonight. Okay. You know what, Jeremy? You got to work your tail out to get this guy on here. I'm telling you. I'll be curious to see what his candors are. All right, K.R. Lombardi, you got the last word on this one.
Stupid money for a guy that is only going to DH because it's not guaranteed to come back and pitch. It's his second Tommy John surgery. It's stupid money.
Well, tell me how you really feel. He just did. All right.
The
K.R.
Dodgers want to do it. They want to pay him. They're stupid, I think.
Yeah, it's a huge risk, but
well, even if he does, he's not going to pitch for the next 10 years.
How much would Babe Ruth be worth today?
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
About the same amount.
Yeah.
More than that. He's a hell of a better pitcher.
And yet everybody was worried about what Reggie Jackson was earning. Boy, I'll tell you, Reggie Jackson's alive. He's got to be shaking his head big time. Unbelievable stuff.
This is Powerball money. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is Powerball money. Well, folks, glad they had an opportunity to watch us here on Inside the Pigskin. When this is a loaded show, it's a loaded show, especially when we're talking about Idaho potatoes and we're talking about Pop-Tarts and a whole lot of other topics that are edible and expensive and a lot of things with a loaded chat room. So with that said, I'm going to let everybody go out there and find out how to get a hold of you. But before I do that, I want to remind everybody one more time that Inside the Pigskin is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Inside the Pigskin can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for more subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? Boy, I'll tell you, the chat room was loaded. That's a good way to do it. Or send your topic ideas, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call, 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Website, www.southfloridatribune.com, Twitter/X @Tribune South. Candy Ebling's behind the scenes. My book is Lessons from the Microphone. You can obtain that through Amazon or Kindle. It's tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. And to give you an overview of what that means, it's pretty much old school media versus new school media. And I talk about the people I've met and haven't met and how they've really been pioneers in the industry. So it's a good Christmas gift for everybody out there that's interested in learning more about our show. All right, Jeremy, go ahead. Let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
Well, you can find my writings right on the southfloridatribune.com under the Motor City Tribune heading, underneath authors such as Scott himself. You can also find me on this channel for Inside the Pigskin, Fire Up, and wherever else Scott wants me. And you can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. I go live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Good. Now you can read this chat.
Babe Ruth would be worth about $1 billion if we grade on the Ohtani curve.
That's right.
Yeah, got to get that on there for people. All right, I like that. All right, KR, go ahead.
Facebook and Instagram.
Travis.
You can find me on all the socials, Travis D. Holmes. Find my writings covering the Jacksonville Jaguars from bigcatcountry.com. You can find me here every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. at Inside the Pigskin. And you can find my Jacksonville Jaguars podcast, the Duval Die by Jaguars podcast, on Fridays, wherever you find your podcast.
Very good. Okay, Travis. He smiles when I either call him Travis or Sherlock because I throw curveballs either way, and he acclimates them very nicely. All right, Bo, go ahead.
Yeah, so you can find me on all the social medias at Football Talk with Bo. Of course, my YouTube channel at Football-Talk, and Roku TV on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and this Sunday morning.
Hey, Coach.
You can find me right here every Tuesday night, and then also on LinkedIn.
Very good. All right, Mel.
Find me on social media at Mel Farr Jr. Follow what we have going on for the kids here in Georgia and in Michigan at melfarr.org.
Okay, well, let's go back to the comments before we call it a night. I want to make sure everyone gets in there. And you know what? Here we go. Travis said you follow Jax more than most names. Don't tell Jeremy. So thanks for that. All right, there you go. You don't have to tell him. I just put it up there on the screen so Jeremy knows. Whatever.
You're busted, James. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm busted too because I put it up there. So, meanwhile, I want to thank my crew for hanging in there a while. We had a lot of good stuff here, and and again, we have one more show next week. There's a pretty good chance we're going to take a break after the 21st until after the first of the year. I think everybody needs an opportunity to refresh themselves a little bit. But we look forward to having a powerful year-ending show next week with some of the latest topics in college or pro, whatever becomes the flavor of the day. So on behalf of Jeremy Ballrick, K.R. Lombardia, Travis Sherlock Holmes, Bo Crouch, Coach Bono, and Mel Farr Jr., my name is Scott Morgan off the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Inside the Pigskin, and we will catch you next Tuesday night. Everybody have a great weekend, and I know the holidays are coming, so I want to wish you happy holidays now, and I'll repeat that next week when we do it again here on the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. Good night, everybody. See you next week.